Welcome.
Welcome to the Everything Podcast. This episode I'll be doing another How I Met Your Mother live reaction, that being to Season 4, Episode 18, titled Old King Clancy. But before I get into it, please, if you haven't already, check out my live reaction to Season 4, Episode 17. Obviously, it's a continuation of that. On audio platforms, it's definitely released. On YouTube, I assume it's probably been released, because even though I don't know necessarily in which order Matt chooses which episode to animate, I assume he will do the Mother episodes in order. He's not going to do 19, then 17, then 18, then 2. You know what I mean? So, yeah, as I mentioned in the previous episode, if you are listening and not quite sure, Matt now has a music channel on YouTube titled Matt Milken on YouTube. Hopefully the link's there, and on audio platforms we're going to try and find the link for the channel, so you can consider supporting that. And as also mentioned in previous episodes, from February 2026 the podcast will be shrinking from 7 episodes a week to not quite a designated number, but will be shrinking due to financial reasons, because I've been financing the podcast since it started, or since Matt got on board, that I'm not able to do that anymore due to work and loads of other things. It's just one of those things that unfortunately has to. But if you don't want that to happen, please consider supporting the podcast by going to the Podcast X page. If you're watching on YouTube, you should be able to find quite easily. There is a link on there, and if you can donate somebody to the podcast, that might, if enough people do it, that it might give me the income needed to continue that. But without further ado, here is my live reaction to How I Met Your Mother Season 4 Episode 18, titled Old King Clancy. I hope you enjoy. Obviously, before I start, I can't do the episode, listen to the episode because of copyright reasons. This episode is set in spring 2009, where we, in a previous episode, we learned that Ted has been chosen to design a new headquarters for Goliath National Bank, which is where Barney and Marshall work. We see Ted designing the building. Ted pitches his design. Bilson has a problem with Ted's design. Bilson reveals why he has problems with Ted's design. Marshall mentions Lily. Bilson stops Marshall from leaving. Ted reveals that Bilson was removed from Ted's project. Ted reveals more about his pitch. Ted is applauded by everyone. Ted takes a lift. Ted answers a work call. Ted mentions his job and age. Ted admits to lying, to having a phone call, and Ted learns that his project has been cancelled. We now have the How I Met Your Mother title sequence. Barney mentions Scarlett Johansson. Barney compliments Scarlett Johansson. Marshall's sentimental about Lily, and Lily mentions Hugh Jackman. Robert admits to seeing a celebrity. Lily questions Robin. Marshall stops Lily from coming. Barney believes that the celebrity Robin is talking about is him. Lily now has developed hiccups. Robin tells Morrison. Lily yells at Robin. Robin challenges Marshall, Lily, and Barney to guess the story, and she'll tell them. Barney showcases a adult website to Marshall and Lily. Ted informs everyone that his project has been cancelled. Marshall mentions that him and Barney were called into a meeting by Bilson to know that that Ted's project has been scrapped. Marshall mentions Ted. Bilson asks about Marshall and Barney to inform Ted that his project is no longer going ahead. Barney and Marshall argue about who to tell Ted. Ted mentions the problems with his design. Barney and Marshall attempt to get Ted to call up. Ted believes he'll be out of the job if this project doesn't go ahead. Marshall lies to Ted. Marshall compliments Ted. Marshall suggests that he continue lying to Barney. Ted, rather. Barney mocks Marshall. Barney demonstrates how to lie. Marshall consoles Barney and Barney tricks Marsh. Marshall attempts to defend his and Barney's actions to Ted. Lily is continuously reading that website Barney showcased to her. Marshall apologises to Ted. Lily guesses Robin's story. As do Barney and Marshall. Marshall and Barney. Marshall reveals how he lied to Ted, so, what's the word? Continuously. Marshall hires more people. We learn that Marshall can't understand or speak Spanish. Marshall reveals he paid everyone. Ted has a private chat with Louisa. Ted and Louisa kiss. Louisa reveals she's engaged to Barney, but Ted doesn't speak Spanish. Ted storms out. Barney reveals the bank has a softball team at all. Marshall apologizes to Ted. Ted yet raises his voice at Marshall. Barney seems to prove that Ted isn't always honest. We see Marshall performing a stand-up comedy gig. Marshall's gig seems to be very fish-based. Ted reveals his true feelings about Marshall's stand-up gig. Ted believes he's going to get fired tomorrow. Billy's continuing reading that website. Ted considers Barney and Marshall liars. Ted compares Barney to the devil. Barney and Marshall have found Ted a new job at the bank. Marshall reveals that the room that they want Ted to design is of people. Barney remembers how people have got fired before, with Barney normally being the one firing people. In one of them, Barney is attacked. Barney seems to be attacked a lot. Ted reveals he agreed to the new job. Ted pitches his ideas for the building. Ted and Marshall. Now, Barney and Marshall aren't positive about Ted's pitch. Bilson reveals he loves Ted's idea. Bilson asks Ted to design another building as well. Ted, Marshall and Barney celebrate. Bilson fires Ted. Ted attacks Bilson. Lily continues guessing Robin's story. Lily reveals she's been guessing for 3 days. Lily is still hiccuping. Robin tells her story to everyone. Barney, Marshall, and Lily have no idea what Robin's talking about. Robin explains who the Robin asks Marshall, Lily and Barney to keep this a secret. Barney insults Canada. Ted reveals he got fired. Ted reveals he quit his job. Ted thanks Barney and Marshall to convince him to quit. Ted actually reveals he got fired by his old job. Ted reveals he's going to start his own firm instead. Ted reveals he's grateful. Barney guesses how Ted reacted to being fired. We learn that Robin's story was actually true and took place in British Columbia in 2002. Obviously that now being 24 years ago. See, when this came out, I think it was about 5 or 6. Oh, we actually learned that Robin actually lied about parts of that story. But yeah, that was my live reaction. We don't want another one. To How I Met Your Mother, Season 4, Episode 18. King Clancy, let me know what you thought about my reaction to the episode and the episode itself. You can put both of those in the comments below. Remember, you can also like, comment, subscribe, and please consider supporting the podcast in its multiple forms now. But without further ado, I will see you in a future episode of the podcast. See you then. Goodbye.